I am a personality when I enter the room, and I know that, and I know that that's not always going to mesh well with people, and the people that don't like it really don't like it, and that's okay.
Realizing and recognizing that my struggle with let them was actually me needing to feel like I needed to control things.
Mhm.
And so it was me recognizing actually within myself what the issue was and not necessarily what they're doing. Right.
You never reach the bar you set for yourself because you're constantly raising it.
It's like, "Ooh, that hurt. I didn't like that. I'm never doing that again. Thank you very much, and we're done." Shifting the mindset to like, "That was an experience, not a fan of it, but all right, moving forward, that person's not for me or that thing is not for me." But that like it feels like, "Okay, that's enough. That's good." But that's not what happens in anyone's brain. That's not how it goes.
I get asked all the time from people, especially women who've been through so much that they're like, is like my picker is broken. And it's like, yeah, it is. It is broken. And it's broken because the way that we're picking is still from an external spot and not from an internal spot. And this is where we actually have to do that work. We have to do the work on ourselves.
Like my picker was broken. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm the fucking problem. I need to go to therapy. And I think I mentioned this on one of the other episodes. And um, I went every week for 6 months. And my therapist told me that's a little excessive. And I said, no, it's not. I'm fucked up and I need to figure it out.
3 women, 3 paths, 1 mission. To prove that your story is not your limitation, to guide you towards your muchness, to explore the unfiltered truths, and to challenge every bit of belief that built your mask. This is Go Be Too Much, the unapologetic space for the bold, the healing, and the unfinished, where we decide what's too much was always meant for more. So let's chat. Maybe we'll fuck around and find out just how unmissable we all are.
Hi, it's MJ, and we're here with Go Be Too Much. And we wanted to talk today just a little bit on some of the feedback we've been getting, which has been mind blowing for us. It's been more than I
Mhm.
think any of us anticipated, but at the same time, it's exactly what we knew that we were going to get because how can people not resonate with this? And how can people not resonate with 3 different people in different places in life and through different upbringings and all the things? So, first off, we just want to say thank you so much to everybody who that first episode aired and it just blew up and said, thank you. And oh my God, we love this for you guys, both individually in our lives or on the actual sites themselves. But we all are so grateful and excited. And it was exactly what we needed to just continue feeling like this is it. This is the right thing to be doing. We're not too much and crazy for thinking that this could even be a thing. And I know some of the feedback that I got personally were from like coworkers and stuff, even that have known me in the past or classmates in social work that were just like, oh my God, I love this. I'm so sad we've lost touch. Your energy is just so great. I miss it. And just they're like, "You're gonna do great with this. This is phenomenal." I've had other people reach out that have said, like, in the middle of our conversation in, like, that very first episode, we talk about all of us being middle child, oldest child, youngest child, or even kind of a single child, and I've had people reach out talking about how they hadn't even thought about certain things until we'd brought it up, and that's the whole point of this. We want to just talk about stuff that we are ourselves have experienced, are experiencing, because we want it to sort of, in a sense, trigger those thoughts, trigger those memories, trigger those discussions to be having in your
Mhm.
own life or to have with us.
Mhm.
So Cassie will talk more on it, but please know we do have a forum that you guys can sign, fill out, give us any feedback, give us your own stories you want, and it's 100% anonymous. Nobody is going to know that it was you. We all will work very well if we do know who it is, that we're not going to say something that's going to indicate that it was you in any way. We respect your confidentiality, and we most importantly respect the fact that you want to fill this out to help us out because it does. So, yes, again, for myself, for all of us, thank you. But I want to give each of them a chance to talk. So, Mandy, why don't you
Mhm.
share about your feedback?
I You mentioned something and I forget how you said it, but even in posting, even in thinking about putting this podcast out, I am filled with thoughts of like, ooh, I might have been too aggressive. Oop, I might have said fuck too many times. Like, oop, I might have made too many faces. And the feedback, almost 100% of my feedback came from former students. We all manage different aspects of the social media, different aspects of engaging with this podcast, and just getting notifications that a student is liking, sharing, commenting, following, or just giving feedback, like students that I had 6, 7, 8 years ago, is so freaking cool. Like, so freaking cool, because that's where, I don't know. That's where I'm not a mom. I don't ever want to birth a child, but my kids, my students that I work with, seeing our podcast and like liking it, it's like they like me. They really like me.
You mean we're not cringe?
Yeah, we're not
Whatever they say.
cringe. I don't even know. I'm too old to know. But yes, I absolutely love that we have, like Mary said, old colleagues, old classmates listening. But then we also have like my students, and then my family, my sisters, my friends back home. It's just a good connection point. I think if anything comes out of this, it's just a good check-in and reminder. Like, we are all humans and we are all trying to make it work in this weird time. So I appreciate the feedback. I live for the comments. I live for the check-ins. And that's been really cool to see. Cassie, what about you?
So to start this off, it made me, you just saying that last little bit reminded me of how when we always do the same thing until somebody tells us differently, right? Like, say I'm doing something wrong. I'm going to continue doing it because I don't realize it's wrong. And then, so that's why I think why we love the feedback is I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong, but say they're like, oh, you guys should do this. Well,
Mhm.
first off, I didn't think of that. So I'm going to keep doing the same thing that I continue to do until somebody tells me
Yes.
differently. And so that's how I interpret the feedback is that works really well. That one was kind of like a gray, what do we call it? It's not the gray area. It's the
Iridescent.
Iridescent.
iridescent. There we go. Um, and so like the feedback I've been getting, obviously I've just been running my mouth about it to all the people that see me. So they're all
Anybody that will
super,
listen.
so everyone has been super great and supportive. And I just think it's one of those things where people, like Mary said, people think that, that we're all too much. You're not. And I sent out a snap today saying, hey, if you guys have a story to tell that you've ever been too much, you should share it. And one of the feedbacks that I got from it that I took, it wasn't anything anyone said, is that I worded it wrong. And so it's like the telephone game, right? Like you hear one thing, I say one thing and you hear another. And they're like, I don't know if I've ever been told I was too much. And I was like, well, do you have a story about your childhood, about being a mom, about anything that's happened? And they're like, oh, I didn't realize that's what you were looking for. And so it's like, I just didn't relay the message great. Right. And so that was feedback I took from that is I was like, oh, please tell me whatever you want, like whatever, say you've overcome something and you're like, this is where I started and this is where I'm at. And just realizing that sometimes when we do say it and we don't get the answer that we wanted, it's probably because we didn't say it the way that somebody else is listening. And I think that's the other nice thing about having the three of us is we all say something different. And I'm still laughing about one of Mandy's feedback saying I'm somebody's spirit animal. I would have never guessed in a million years.
Uh-huh. I won't, I don't know if she wants me to call her out or not, but I know, like, absolutely. And then somebody else said your voice was calming. Like, you're
Yeah,
someone's spirit animal and your calming voice.
so it's funny with that too, because I feel like I have like a manly girly voice. Like I definitely have a deeper girl voice, right? Shared that feedback that said my voice was soothing. I looked at Rick and I'm like, I don't know that that's the words I would use. And he's like, I love you. And I don't know if I'd say that either.
Hey, it's something for someone. So there you
Hey,
go.
that's literally what we said. There's somebody for everybody. And it was just funny when you said that. I was like, you know what? Rock on. Fuck yeah. And
Well, and
I like that you cuss, Mandy. That is who you are. So you should just stay that way.
I know. And I'm not going to change it, because anybody that knows me in real life, y'all know, I just, for like, 5 seconds before I post it, I'm like, oh shit, here it goes. Like, somebody's going to have something to say about it. And you know what? I don't give a fuck. Not one.
No.
Well, and
So.
Cassie, you talking about your voice and that being something somebody picked out as something they enjoyed about you, I think kind of just says more to us on like that we are our own worst critic. And so for
Yes.
anybody who's feeling hesitant in sharing anything at all, no matter what it is that you're sharing, Like we're the same way. Like we question that. We don't feel comfortable in that. We think our faces or our voices or whatever. And so I mean that's kind of again just another layer to what this is that it's being authentically ourselves and being so comfortable in that we just don't care anymore how people are going to perceive it or think about it. And I know for me, like, that was the biggest thing is like people see this and be like, who does she think she is? Like, she can't do that. Why would she ever think she could
Mhm.
run something or do something or impact that? And yet, one of the comments on my post announcing this was from a college friend that was like, I always knew that you were meant to change lives.
Mhm.
And I had
Mhm.
somebody else that I actually just met like 4 months ago that she was like, I knew you were special from the moment I met you, and it was just like, we're just
Mhm.
our own worst critics. So again, please, when you guys share stuff, you can share anything you want. Positive, negative, happy, bad, too much related, any topic related, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a way, and I don't know if this is how everybody will perceive it, but it's kind of what I'm thinking is like it's a way to get it off your chest, for a
Yes.
lack of better way to say it. Like if it is something that
Process
you've
it.
just been holding on to and you're like, I don't have another outlet, maybe therapy's not an option, maybe something's happening in your life, like you do say it anonymously and it just gets put out there and other people are going to resonate with what you say. Said like, I do not think my voice is soothing. Bless you, baby Jesus, that is what that person thought.
Mhm.
Like you, but I've always been that way. Like I don't like listening to my recordings
Mm-mm.
when
Mhm.
I work on these podcasts
Setting up
and
a voicemail? Ugh.
oh, absolutely
Ugh.
horrendous. Imagine how I feel when I'm sitting here spending the time editing our
Yep.
footage and I have to listen to my
Mm-mm.
voice. I'm
Mm.
just like, this is terrible. But
Thank you.
like, I just want people to know that it's a place like they can get stuff off their chest without anybody knowing who it is. Because really, this is throughout the world. Like, there's 6 billion people in this world. Now, if the shoe
Mhm.
fits, high five to you, right? Like, I could say one thing and it probably fits 15 people, but it has nothing to do with any of you. So,
Right.
that's
Right.
kind of
The
what I'm
shoe
thinking.
fits, wear it, right?
Amen, sister.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, so I won't say because I don't want it to, tip off anybody, but the individual talked about a particular tattoo that they had. And I myself have that same tattoo. And I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want that to make that person feel like something was revealed that
Well,
she wasn't ready for. But I can
that
tell
is
you,
on
it
our
is a
it's on our
topic
listener
that's
form. They
It
went and
sure
submitted
is.
it. They
I'm
went and
like,
submitted on our
they
listener
did?
form so we
Yeah.
could share.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it's the let them
Mm-hmm.
tattoo. And that like came out when Mel Robbins, introduced that statement. Like it's not really a new concept, at least in my opinion, but the way she went about it, the way she's talking about it, like wildfire. And for a reason, because it is a very powerful movement and a very powerful statement. And it does give us back a lot of that power and that control of saying like, you know what? No, like I've done everything I can do. I've tried all these things. I am who I am. And so just let them. And it is so powerful. And to me, very much fits with what we're doing here because again, it's about being so comfortable with yourself and who you are and figuring out who that is and not allowing other people's perceptions, opinions get to you and stop you from doing something that maybe somebody else needs in this world, but most importantly, maybe you need. And
Yeah.
so I love that that was her tattoo because I myself got that tattoo 2 years ago after, my
Life.
divorce. It was very powerful. And I was just like, you know what? Let them. Right.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna read it and then
So I was just gonna say,
I have a question to ask you ladies after. So it says, I guess in a sense, I've been told I'm too much with the way that I care about what people think about me. I've always cared if people were mad at me or upset at me. I got myself a let them tattoo, and I'm still in my 30s caring if people are judging me. Even as I write this, I'm caring what people are going to think about me. And I think that goes into what we just talked about is this person wrote it. And even, I bet they were afraid to even push send, to feel that sense of judgment or whatever. What would you guys say is, because I know we've all suffered it for people pleasing and worrying about what others think. Like, what has helped you guys in the like let them standpoint?
you said what has helped us in the let
Yeah,
them
like
standpoint?
so, like this person. has a hard time like letting go of what people are thinking about them.
I think for me, it's just honoring that it is going to bother me to some degree at some point because I do have a strong personality. I am a personality when I enter the room. And I know that. And I know that that's not always going to mesh well with people. And the people that don't like it really don't like it. And that's okay because I don't need that energy. I don't want to absorb that energy. And if that is like my protective factor, then I'm going to let them think what they want to think over there because the people that fuck with me, fuck with me. And the people that know me and can get past that prickly exterior, they know my heart. They know what my intentions are. And those are the people that I look to when I need support, when I need feedback, when I need to just remember who the fuck I am. Like, I'm not going to go to the asshats that have, opinions about me. I'm going to go to you guys. I'm going to check in with you guys. I'm going to check in with the people who know me. And so just knowing like, oop, I don't feel good. I don't like how that felt because a lot of things for me, as y'all know, present as rage. So when I am raging against the machine and I am fuck this and fuck that and fuck everyone, I have to go do something to bring myself back down from the level 10 because that's not where I want to be. But that's usually my indicator of like, oop, okay, they hit a sensitive subject. Let's check in on that. And reminding myself and checking in with my people, like that's not who I am. It's like the mirror. That's who they're seeing me as because that's what they have brought out or they have earned. So I don't know, acknowledging that it's there, acknowledging that I am a human and I'm still going to feel it, and then just trying not to judge myself in those moments.
I think you said a lot of things that actually lead into some of the topics that we had for today anyways. And so I guess first my answer is of, how it's helped me. Like I said, I got it and you know, the world did what it did and did its thing and it happened right as I was going through one of the most pivotal points in my life with getting a divorce and separation and all these things. And you know, it's not what you imagine in your life. Nobody gets married to think that that's going to happen and has kids and thinks that's going to happen. And realizing and recognizing that my struggle with let them was actually me needing to feel like I needed to control things. And so it was me recognizing actually within myself what the issue was and not necessarily what they're doing, right? And so it was being able to say like, wait a minute, I can't love somebody enough to get them to love me. I can't force people to act and behave
Mm-hmm.
a certain way. I
Mm-hmm.
can't whatever these things are, and recognizing that that's not a fault of mine. That's not on me to do anyways. The supporter, the cheerleader, fixer, all the things in me, it's not wrong of me. But again, like you kind of said, Mandy, putting that energy towards something that didn't necessarily deserve it any longer and need it any longer, and acceptance that I had done all my pieces, I did all my things. And at the end of the day, like if this is what they choose, this is what they're doing in life, then you let them. And that's not a reflection of me. And it's not a reflection of the things that I am. And it's not to say that I, had roles in things, but it just is releasing that sense of control. And for somebody with anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
PTSD and all those things, we struggle with that. And it was funny because I really realized how much like control I saw out in ways
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't even know was
Yeah.
happening. And so let them allowed me to really be able to say like I don't have to have that control to ease that anxiety, to ease that desire of what else can I do? What more can I go
Mm-hmm.
do? And it's
Mm-hmm.
no, you have done enough,
You've done
and
enough.
to let them. But the other thing you said about the mirror, like we reflect back to people things, and they reflect to us. And sometimes it's our own struggles. Sometimes it's a
Mm-hmm.
struggle we're not ready with. And that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's recognizing that that's on them.
Mm-hmm.
They need to do that. They need to take care of that. That's not on me. Like, so a lot of times when people are telling us that we're to this or we're to that, or maybe you should do this or
Fix your
that,
face. Maybe
fix
you
your
should fix your
face,
face.
right? Like don't wear that, or you're
Mm-hmm.
buying too many of these things, or whatever it is. it's about us at all. And we do personalize it because it feels personal, and it is personal in that way, but it isn't about us.
So I was like, it's not personal to me. It's personal about that individual.
Exactly. Exactly. And so it's being able to recognize that.
I think that reminds me of the other tattoo that Mary and I have. Maybe people can see. And she's like, and it's the 10-90 rule, or it's 90-10 rule, I guess. And it's 90% of what happens to you and 10% of how you react. So you can't control everything. And as a former control freak,
Ooh,
um,
it's I'm a
I
recovering control freak.
Recovering,
yeah, I probably say I'm recovering a little.
healed and healing.
Healed and healing.
Duality.
Like, yes, segue here, is that it's just, um, it's crazy because why'd this person do it this way? They should have done this, or why can't they do it the way I want to? And it's like, Cassie, you can control yourself. You can't control other people, but 90% of what happens, you can react to the 10%, right? Like, I can control what I can control, and everything else, let them be. I want to talk about comparison after duality. Duality was one of our topics for today. I have no idea what that means, Mary. So if you could tell us in the audience and inform me so I know what I'm talking about, that would be great.
Yeah, of course. And it is a perfect segue because you talking about like in that 10%, our reaction, right? Well, I first of all want to acknowledge that what happens and what you're trying to decide 90 and 10 with does not mean that it may not be the most catastrophic, hardest thing that you've ever dealt with. It is to not minimize by any means what a person experiences when we say, like, oh, it's only 10% of how you react, meaning that it's not that big of a deal. No, not at all. It can be a massively big deal, but that 10% has so much more power than the 90%. And it's understanding that that 90%, big, huge, whatever it is, but what you have the control over and what you decide to do with it and respond and work from it and go from it, like that's even bigger. And we need to give the power and energy to that and not the negative. However, we need to recognize both. And that's duality. Duality is understanding that two things can be true at the same time. One of my most powerful statements that I say to people in therapy is both things are true. Like, yes, maybe that was catastrophic, awful, worst thing you've ever gone through. And you get to do this. So I actually had a moment with one of my people this last week, and I told Mandy about it, and it was so moving, and I did cry, and I was so proud of this individual because she went through something that was so big and not what she anticipated, not what she expected. She'd been kind of working on, the acceptance of it, everything like that. But now she's at this place of starting over. And now she's got to do this and that and all this stuff. And she was trying to tell me, like, and I'm grateful for this. And I see the lesson. And really, this good thing's happening now. And this good thing's happening now. And she was changing that verbiage. And I acknowledged that for her because I was like, that is night and day where you were. I was like, you did go through something awful, and it is horrible that you have to do all this. And how beautiful and exciting of an adventure to start over. And I know that resonated with me so much because it was the same thing. I went through this thing that I thought if ever happened, I would be a mess. I'd be on the floor for years and I don't know how I'll ever figure it out and what am I going to do and all these things. But the truth was, like, that happening, it didn't just it broke me, but it broke me in a way that set me free.
Yeah.
And it set me free to where I could say, and now look at my life. Now look at all the things that I'm doing, the business thing, the podcast thing, the new house. Like, so it's both. It's painful and awful, and it's whatever else.
Mary, as you're talking, and I know, insert eye rolls from the peanut gallery, as you were talking about duality, and for those of you, I'm wearing my K-pop Demon Hunters shirt. I was working in the farmer's market yesterday, and there was a kiddo that came and she saw I had my cup, my K-pop Demon Hunters cup. This kid had to be like 5, no older than 5. Mom and I are talking. Mom is ordering the things. And I asked kiddo, what is your favorite song from the movie? Because everyone has a song. It's usually Golden. It's usually Free or Saja Boy, Soda Pop, depending on where you're at with your journey. But this 5-year-old, she goes, oh, it's the last song. It's the last song that they sing. And it's called This Is What It Sounds Like. And this is what it sounds like is a song that I used in my own personal therapy EMDR recently, because it is talking about I broke into a million pieces and I can't go back. And now I'm seeing all the things through the broken glass and accepting all of those parts. It's at the end of the movie when Rumi is accepting, like, this is who I am. This is what I sound like without all of the masks, without all of the things. Like, I am this and this. And this 5-year-old saw that in the movie. And that was what stuck with her. She sang the whole song to me. She sang the whole entire song, lyric for lyric. We are just sitting there having a good time, singing our K-pop. And as you're talking about the duality of and, it's like I broke into a million pieces and I am moving forward. I am beautiful. I am worthy. I deserve, that's what I've been working on. Like, I am worthy and I do deserve, despite my patterns, despite my brokenness, despite my whatever-ness. And so, yeah, when Mary shared that story with me, those moments in therapy, those moments with clients or anyone in your life, really, when you get to just see them being like broken, earth shattered, and look at how fucking awesome my life is. Look at how much I have improved since then, or look at how the situation has improved since then. And I love that. I love K-pop Demon Hunters. Everyone knows that. I love it because of the message. I love it because of this is what it sounds like, and acknowledging those parts of us that we try to keep hidden. And when we try to keep them hidden, what happens? We explode, we implode, we break, because you have to be broken. You have to be broken to build yourself back up.
Yeah. Well,
I just thought that was a cool experience.
it doesn't always have to be, again, major catastrophic. It can be just in your simple
Correct.
day-to-day life, and
Correct.
changing this thought process changes so much for you in, again, our need for control with everything. So, I moved in the last 2 weeks, and I also had somewhat of a catastrophic thing with my kids, and their school and all this stuff happening. And it was like, all on the day of leaving that home, the final piece of things, and shutting that chapter and starting this new. And it was like, for a split moment, I was like, this is ruining moving day. Like, this is not what this
Hmm.
And it was like, I had to say, no, like, wait a minute. This sucks. All this is going wrong.
And
That's annoying. That's heartbreaking. And look at this beautiful home that I've built, at all the
hmm
things that are coming into my life. And today is still a great, happy, exciting day. And it even took me sharing that, like, with my kid, because even she was like, oh, this has gone wrong and this is wrong. And today just isn't what. And I was like, yeah, those things are all true. And we're in this new house. Like, so again, 10%, we get to choose. And if we choose to only look at that negative, then
hmm
that's where we're at. That's how we are.
hmm
And so it is mind over matter in a lot of ways. And it takes a lot of effort to change that, but it is possible to do it. So, Cassie, does that answer your question of what duality is?
But yeah, and then some. And hopefully it answered it for everybody listening too. I think an important part that you mentioned too is that it doesn't have to be something big. It could literally be
Yes.
something that happened in your day. And it's like, say it happened in the morning. Are you going to let that dictate your whole day? Are you going to be a crab ass the rest of the day? Or are you going to be like, that fucking sucked. Let's try to be better. Now, does it always happen? Absolutely not. We're human. But I just think that understanding that big moments happen, but day-to-day life happens too. And
hmm
so I think that was really important that you brought that up.
So,
And so one of the things that I think of with that, and I talked to you ladies about this the other day, is how comparison is the thief of joy, and how um, I was comparing myself to other people,
hmm
which, let's just start off as stupid, but we all do it. So again, we're human. This is no shade on anybody. So if it resonates with you and the shoe fits, high five, but it's not meant to be any shade. But I see these people on social media and I'm like, dang, they must be killing it, right? It's like they just must be doing so good. And so my logical side of my brain was like, I wonder what their production is. And I can't see what your production is. I can go onto a website and I can see how many deals you have done or been involved in. And it was crazy to me because they have either been involved as many as me or less than me. And one individual in particular, the following idolizes this person. And I know this person in real life, good human, but it's just crazy how the social media platform of it makes this person look like a god, essentially. And when I looked at this individual's production, it was less than mine. And I was like, this person makes it sound like they have something every single day. Like they're just rolling, like the way they do these
Mhm.
things. And it like hit me. I was like, I'm doing what I need to do. I am not for everybody. I'm for the right people that choose me. And that I was stealing like some sort of my happiness. Like I was like, I should have done more. And it's like,
Mhm.
you've done enough. You've done
Mhm.
exact like, could I do more? Absolutely. Not saying that, but like I was comparing myself to these people and it's like they're on the same playing field as me. Now my social media game is not as awesome as theirs. High five to them on that. But I don't want it to be either because that's exhausting to me. I don't have the mental capacity to
It
do
is
those things.
exhausting.
And that is my boundary. Like I do what I can. I upload when I can. I try to create stuff, but I just think we, as hard as it is, maybe take a step back and not try to compare yourself to somebody else's life. Because remember, social media is just the highlight reels, right? Like
Mhm.
we only post when things are good. I mean, talking on this podcast, we talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, but your stories, your Facebook posts, for the older generation, Facebook posts.
I know, it's like, wow, way to date us there.
Well, we didn't go back to MySpace yet, so you're good. But if you weren't on my top 8 or top 10, see you later. Like, I just think that sometimes we compare ourselves and forget how far we've gone, which reminds me of the other saying that I said. I could go on and on about this, but it says you never reach the bar you set for yourself because you're constantly raising
True.
it. And so if I look back, I've lived in Salt Lake for 3 years now, and who I am today is nowhere near who I was when I moved here, like not even in the slightest. And the girl I was in Wyoming would be so proud of who I am today. So why am I kicking my butt about the
Mhm.
things that I've done, right? Pat on the back. Because I never dreamed of this life. Rick and I talk about this all the time about he's like, did you ever see this is where your life would be? And I was like, fuck no. I didn't know any of this was possible. I didn't see it in myself because people always belittled me and I allowed it back home. And they'd be like, oh, you can't do this because of XYZ. You can't do this because of XYZ. And
Mhm.
I moved here and Rick's like, why the fuck can't you do it? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, do it and see what happens. And you know what? It's been 3 years of kicking ass. Now, I still have my faults. I still have lots of learning experiences, but the girl I am today is night and day difference in 3 years compared to who I was. And that Cassie would be so proud of where I'm at today. So
And you touched on something that I think is really important, and I want to shout out Rick and give Rick a shout out because who we have around us matters. I recently took a trip back home to Missouri, and I think I shared with you guys like I just don't feel like myself when I go back to Missouri because that version of me is stuck there. You know, the people expect who I was in Missouri, and I've been in Arizona now for 8 years, which is wild. And like you, Cassie, who I am now is not who I was there. And a lot of that has to do because I had to learn things on my own. I had to do a lot of things solo, but also the people around me, they don't know. They don't know our fuck ups. They don't know our history. They don't know our reputation. They don't know our family. I don't have to walk into a grocery store and be like, oh, you're so and so's sister, you're so and so's daughter. Like there's no perception. And we just got to build ourselves as adults with other supportive adults who don't know anything. Like it's wild. It's wild. And I think, Cassie, you said it one of these episodes. Leave your hometown. If you get a chance, leave your hometown, go explore, go travel, live somewhere else, do something like get out, get away. And if you stay in your hometown, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There are ways to explore that. But I really, truly believe and stand by like leaving your hometown and having to just exist in a different space will do a lot of things to your mindset.
I am okay with having a small number of friends. I used to love having
Hmm.
everybody and anybody. But here's the thing. When you move out of your small town, you're about to find out how many people actually talk to you anyways. You no longer are convenient is the
Uh huh.
nicest way I could put that.
Uh huh.
And I still talk to a handful of people and they know who they are and they're listening to this. But for the most part, like I had a lot of friends back home. I lived there for 15 years. I went to high school and most of my young adulthood was there. and I had a lot of friends, but they couldn't tell you anything that's going on in my life right now. Like as soon as I
Mhm.
moved, it's like,
Mhm.
how dare you leave this town?
Mhm.
Like you can't stay in the suck with me. And not to say that that town is full of suck. It has its moments. Mary will attest to that. Like there are good people. Don't get me wrong on that part, but it's just funny like how you move and how
Duality.
yeah, how people just they slowly disappear. I
Wish.
No, and I think you're right. I actually just today there was a girl on TikTok talking about Vegas and like the dating and stuff, and everybody harps on it, and it's bad everywhere. And everybody has their own perception of their hometown being the worst hometown to grow in, and all these things. And then I'm like, realize and recognize, and I was there too. And this is the change that I've really made for myself is all of this is looking at the external. We're not talking about the internal.
Mhm.
So you can't find who you're looking for dating. And I'll just use that because that's what this girl was talking about. Like the there's however many people in the Vegas Valley area and tons of people moving in, and you're not telling me I can't find one good one. Like sometimes we are the problem, and it's not necessarily that other people haven't also been the problem. But I get asked all the time from people, especially women who've been through so much that they're like, is like my picker is broken. And it's like, yeah, it is. It is broken. And it's broken because the way that we're picking is still from an external spot and not from an internal spot. And this is where we actually have to do that work. We have to do the work on ourselves, for ourselves, within ourselves, in order to change what it is that we're attracting in and bringing in. Or you do. You're going to
Mhm.
do the same things. You're going to live
Mhm.
the same lessons. And man, you will live those lessons until you learn it. And if you
Mhm.
don't believe those things, that's okay. But I mean, there's proof in that. And so, and then the other part that you guys talked about was the image in your head and thinking that it should have been one way and look how much better it is. I can't tell you how many times what the image in our mind is what ruins our current reality. And it's not to say that we can't imagine and that we can't dream of what we want it to be, but it's again having that duality of being able to accept that okay, this isn't turning out how I thought. This isn't where I thought things would be. But who am I to just automatically say that it's going to be worse? And if I
Mhm.
say that, I'm creating that because that's what I'm now seeking out. That's what I'm letting in. That's what I'm noticing more. Versus if I allow myself to say, this is not what I planned. This is not where I was going. I have no idea what's to come, but it could be better.
mhm.
Allow yourself to have that. Allow yourself to see the possibility of things getting better, being better. And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, when everything is falling to crap and falling to shit, it's going to be better because
Mhm.
it's really not falling apart, it's falling into place.
I love that saying. Yeah, I feel that because that's what I used to think about. Like my picker was broken, and eventually I was like, you know what? I'm the fucking problem. I need to go to therapy. And I think I mentioned this on one of the other episodes. And um, I went every week for 6 months. And my therapist told me that's a little excessive. And I said, no, it's not. I'm fucked up and I need to figure it out. And I said that about myself, right? Like I knew I wanted something better. And then we talked about why I pick people the way I pick them, both friends and relationships.
Mhm.
And I was like, that makes way more sense. Let's change that. And then he basically was like, what are your three non negotiables? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, when you meet somebody, what are your non negotiables? And I was like, I don't know. Like in my head, I'm like, I just want somebody who's active and plays sports and does all these things. And really, those were just the superficial, stupidest fucking answers I could have ever given.
They're not stupid.
Well, they were for me because it's funny because now that I'm with Rick, none of those things even matter. Like I don't give a crap about any of those things. And I was like, what
Is
do you
Rick not
mean?
sporty? He's not a sporty boy.
We go a little
Man
extreme.
climbs rocks.
Yeah, but
He's
No,
that's totally different.
sporty.
Oh, you mean like it's casual Monday and we go skydiving? Yeah.
literally. I'm just gonna go jump out of a plane real fast, guys. Happy Monday.
Yeah. No,
Fuck.
we don't watch sports. We go do crazy shit that we're about to die on. But like that wasn't like what I thought. I just said that I wanted a godly man. I wanted somebody who was driven. And I'm pretty sure my top one was that he was a cook. And then lo and behold, Rick fits all of them. So it worked out for me. But it's just funny how, you said that you're like, I know that this sucks. And sometimes, yes, we are the problem. And I'm not saying everybody is. I was the problem in my situation. So that's why I'm speaking on it. But it's just crazy that once I admitted that to myself more than anybody, that this is where I am 3 years later. Like, I'm still a work in progress. Don't get me wrong. I'm still fucked up. I still cry in a closet sometimes, but I'm figuring it out, and it's a lot
Healed and
better.
healing.
Healed and healing, and I'm getting there.
And it comes back to kind of where we started the conversation, 90-10, and, duality, all of the things. We cannot control anything outside of us. We can only control what is happening within us, our mindset, how we respond, how we show up, how we approach things. Dating is a very hot topic, I think, everywhere. Own personal opinions, it is garbage. It is garbage, but it's because all of us are dealing with a lot of things. Well, we're not dealing with a lot of things internally, then we're taking that outward, and everyone is meeting each other with like their walls up and their guard. And I don't want to be too emotional too fast. I don't want to double text. I don't want to be too interested. I don't want to whatever. And so then the person on the other side is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's just it's so wild. It's so wild because we cannot control anything that is happening out here. We can use our voice. We can ask for our needs to be met. We can allow somebody to show up how they show up. And then we decide, is that what I want? Is that working for me? Is this something I want to pursue? And then we make the decision. We communicate that I need something different. We communicate, just kidding, it's not for me. I would like to step back now. But that's all we have control over. It's just how we respond and how we communicate that. I think we talked about communication always. The three of us are always talking about communication. And I think that's a big piece with so many things. Is communication as a human species just kind of sucks sometimes. The misinterpretation or how we communicate things or how we don't communicate things. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Well, and living in a technology world, I mean, shit, when we were kids, I just heard this. When we were kids, we'd go knock on somebody's door to hang out
Yes.
with them. Now it's a text message. Saturdays was for cartoons, and now it's for scrolling social media. And so it's like, why put the effort into somebody when all these things are there? So it's
Yep.
remember that both of you ladies are top shelf, and that you do not lower to the lower shelves for some scum ass boy. They go to the top shelf with you. And also, you guys do so much for yourself and for other people. There is a man out there that is going to do the same damn thing for you. And so if you think for a second that somebody is not going to, do these things, like if you'd clean up, that boy better fucking clean up too. Right? I'm just saying, like, if you do things for other people, why would it be so crazy to think that they couldn't do them for you? So again, you're top shelf. We don't go to lower shelves, ladies and gentlemen out there, if you're listening for a woman. Or whatever floats your boat.
I feel like that dating conversation itself, we could do a whole podcast episode on all of the things in our own personal life, our observations,
What
just kind of
not to
where we're
do.
at. We've all, again, that we all have very different experiences in that realm. And working with young people, just talking to teenagers and watching them try to interact with each other. And like, miss, I don't want to come off as a simp. Miss, I don't want to show too much interest. Like, miss, he unfollowed me on Instagram. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? What is happening? I'm just like, do you want to see him or not? And the answer is, well, yeah. I'm like, then tell him. Well, I don't want to. I want him to want to see me. I'm like, wow. Well, then we have to
Communicate.
communicate. We have to communicate, but it's the fear. It's the fear of being too invested or too excited and then not having that be met. I'm like, well, fuck them. That's not for you. Young people and myself, I'll own it, and myself, like when you don't get the response that your head created, Mary, like you said, that I had in my head, it's like, ooh, that hurt. I didn't like that. I'm never doing that again. Thank you very much. And we're done. Shifting the mindset to like, that was an experience, not a fan of it, but all right, moving forward, that person's not for me or that thing is not for me. But that, like, just, it feels like, okay, that's enough. That's good. But that's not what happens in anyone's brain. That's not how
No.
it goes ever.
Well, and that statement, if he wanted to, he would. And guys, yes, if she wanted to, she would, right? There, to me, like, yes, it's one of those statements that came out and it caught on like wildfire and all these things. And don't get me wrong, there's some of that, yes, right? If a
Yes.
person wants to, they will, right?
But,
Also,
and
and I said, but And if a person wants to, they might not be able to, right? And so people think I'm crazy for the fact that I'm like, anybody can change. I do. I truly, the worst of the worst, they can change. They have to want to. They have to have the resources to be able to. There has to be the investment from the proper outlets to create that environment and a person that wants to make that change. And so, yes, a person will if they want to,
And are able
and if
and
they're
are able
able,
to.
and they're able, right? And so and again, the image in the head, okay, so that person isn't able to do these things. It's not turning out the way that I want it to turn out. Look at that image that's in your head and ask yourself, like Cassie's therapist did, what are the things from that you need?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not what we want and desire. Because I can want a sick something, buffed out something, a dad bod something. I can want whatever I want, but what do I actually need?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And when we ask ourselves that, a lot of times a couple things happen. We can recognize in our lives where we already have that. So lots of times, right? People, I want a relationship, I want to be loved, I want all these things, right? Okay. So you're needing connection. You're needing support. You're needing love, right? Okay, well, where in your life do you already have that? Like, well, I've got my kids, I've got my friends, I've got my family, and I do this thing every Thursday with so and so. And it's like, okay, so you're kind of already getting those things. Okay, so in what ways do you need that to expand? How can we expand it? In what way are those needs not being met? And maybe it is about an intimate partner and it's not being met. But then it's again back to, okay, then what about the intimate partner do you need? Not that you just want. And again, we are allowed to want what we want and value what we need.
I mean, I tell Rick this all the time. He is definitely not who I would have picked. He's not my type, but he's my type now. It was funny when he came into my life. I was like, interesting choice, bold choice. But
Love that.
Yes. I
preface, I also think that as I'm looking at him, that he's the sexiest, most gorgeous man I've ever seen. He's rolling
shout
his
out to
eyes.
Rick. Shout out to Rick.
He didn't know he's gonna have to be a guest at some point because he didn't know he was gonna be talked about so much on this.
Well, I mean, he is my best friend, so he gets thrown in there. Yes, no, it is just funny because sometimes things happen when you're not looking also because like you said, we have these wants. And what I've learned is that he is exactly what I needed and wanted, but didn't realize it either. So that's also an option.
Because you got to get out your own damn way. And I think that's the whole piece with
Amen.
with duality, bringing it back. That's the whole, unfuck your mind, get out of your way and recognize this can be true. And also this, I can still be working on identifying what my needs are, what my wants are, and I can have all of that. I can fuck up along the way and still figure it out. I think, again, we talk about everyone's got this perception in their head and everything's supposed to look this way and it's supposed to go this way and I'm supposed to have this job and I'm supposed to date this person or whatever. It's like, or maybe also you can do this and that. I mean, I get a lot of maybe sometimes unsolicited feedback currently due to my incessant love for K-pop. People have a lot of opinions on that. I have a lot of opinions on, the music that I like, the things that I do, but I'm like, I can be a whole ass adult. I can give you a whole word. And also I'm going to go over here and giggle at these 8 Korean men that have good music that I love. I can show up and be a professional and have all of the words and do all of the things and give a phenomenal presentation and wow you. And then I can also go scream and bark at a concert. I can go bark at a grown man on a Tuesday night. You can do all of the things. And trust me, from firsthand experience, it's more fun. It's more fun when you just do the thing that you want to do instead of oh, what are people going to think? Because for me, for so long, what are people going to think? I can't wear that. I can't eat that. I can't like that because of wanting to be accepted. Cassie, the quote that you read from that individual at the beginning, what are people going to think? Are they going to judge me? I remember crying in elementary school because I was so excited about these shoes. They were Velcro shoes because I didn't know how to tie shoes apparently. And I just wanted the Velcro. I wanted them real fast. I got on the bus. I was so excited. And the first person that saw me made fun of me for my shoes. And I went home and I lost it. Like I cried and I begged for new shoes. And my family did not have money like that. We did not have money to go and just buy new things. And I had to wear these shoes and I got picked on and I hated it. Like I remember feeling like I am not okay. This is not okay. I need to change. And I was like 10. 10-year-old me pops up every once in a while. And then 30, oh my God, 36-year-old me is like, like, got you. Do what you want to do. Like, I am here. I got you. Because duality exists in all aspects of life, not just the context that we are speaking in, but like you can look at it, you can find it within yourself, you can find it in those situations. It's just a trip. It's a wild ride.
Okay, so with that, Mandy, we want to encourage all of you to work on your duality and where you can find it. And we want to say again, thank you to those who've reached out, who continue to reach out. Thank you to the individual who did hit send and submit that form,
Yes.
and know that anybody can fill it out about anything. And we will discuss. We will hopefully reach new levels of topics.
It's a,
So
it's a process with you.
yeah, exactly. So again, thank you from Go Be Too Much. And I encourage all of you to just
Go
go be
be
all
too
that you
much.
are.
Yes.
Yeah, go be too much. All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.